Rents in Canada are increasing at a rate that we haven't seen in a very long time. The average asking rents for all residential property types in Canada ended the year at a record high of $2,178 in December 2023, increasing from 8.6% from a year ago in December 2022 when it was only $2,005. Pretty crazy stuff here. So rentals.ca has a very good report showcasing all the rents across Canada. Obviously, we're in Calgary today, and you can see that Calgary is actually increasing quite rapidly. We were at about 28th position, not even like 8-10 months ago, and now we're at 22nd. We have actually surpassed Brantford, Ontario, which is my hometown, so shout out to Brantford. Calgary is now more expensive than you are. So pretty crazy stuff. Let's dive into it. Hey, so I'm gonna cut in real quick here. This video is very long and I'm not expecting you to watch the entire thing. Please click the chapters below and skip to the property types that you want to watch. Let me know in the comments if you're okay with these longer videos, because I'll keep them long, but if they're too long for you and you just feel like it's too much to consume, let me know, because I don't actually want to record 27-minute videos. So go to the chapters, skip along the video, let me know your thoughts. Let's continue on. My name's Fyfe. This video is geared towards all you investors out there that have their eye on Calgary. You want to know what's going on. So in this video, we're going to talk about all things rents and investments. If you have any questions, you want to get into the market, go ahead and book a call with me. The Zoom link is in the link below, but please watch the video in its entirety before you start reaching out. So the average asking rents for all property types, and shown in this chart here, has increased quite dramatically over the last 5 years. Obviously, we had a dip going into 2020, and then 2021, 2, and 3, we've just absolutely taken off. You can actually see that this is a couple months behind as well. So when we start to break this down into provincials, you can see that Alberta total is around $1,691. So it's not the most expensive province, but when you actually skip over to the year-over-year percentage increase, you can see that we have surpassed every other province in Canada for rent increases. You can see that Quebec and Saskatchewan are around 10%, where BC and Nova Scotia actually saw a decrease in rent. So that's pretty crazy. So I'll pause it here. This is for the provinces as a whole. Now, this is from rentals.ca. This is another breakdown for municipalities here in Canada. You can see Calgary ranks 16th on this current chart. You've had a 14% year-over-year increase, which is again the second highest municipality that actually increased. You can see Quebec City all the way down there at 22nd saw 19%, where you got Edmonton and Regina also inching up to that 14% year-over-year increase. So pretty crazy stuff. We're not going to touch on this too much. Now, this is a really good chart from rentfaster.ca. This is kind of a nice breakdown for average rents across the entire city. This does not break it down into like different areas of Calgary. This is just like Calgary as a whole, and this is what we'll be using to get our average numbers for the city. Very important to remember that. So when we start to look at the unfurnished, breaking it down into quadrants, these are some prices here if you're curious. These are the furnished prices for 1, 2, 3 beds for each quadrant of Calgary here. And then we're going to kind of switch it up. So go ahead and pause the video and look at those rent prices if you're curious about them. But the meat and potatoes are going to be in future slides. So this is now going to kind of switch it up a little bit for those investors out there. This is breaking it down into quadrants. You can see that this is the total residential price point. Every single quadrant has seen massive increases year over year. So we're curious, did the rents increase enough to offset not only the price increases, but also the interest rate increases, which have really hurt a lot of investors who are getting into the market over the last couple of years. So just a quick overview, kind of breaking it down a little bit here. The total residential price point of 10.4% year over year gain. We've now reached $570. You can see last month we actually decreased by $2,600. We've got our detached, or semi-detached, or row, and our apartment. Again, kind of breaking it down to the property type as Calgary as a whole. The December month actually saw some pretty crazy decreases that I wasn't expecting to see. Go watch my market update videos of why that could be. But this is, again, just trying to set the stage for the benchmark prices for different property types. And then you go back and you can kind of see the average price points across the entire city. So, kind of got that out of the way. Now, this is very, very, very important. I'm going to read this caveat. Please make sure to listen to this because it's very important. I'm not a mortgage professional. Always consult with a mortgage professional before a realtor. Personally, I believe that it is very important to figure out what your finances are before you meet a real estate agent and talk about all the opportunities that you could get into. I use free online tools to calculate average numbers to obtain vague costs recording mortgages. Consult a professional. If you need someone in Alberta or Canada, go ahead and reach out. I can set you up with someone who I've used, or a couple people that I've used in the past that do good work. But it is very important that if you do not know your personal numbers and do not have a pre-approval, please do not book a call with me seeking advice. I will be a little bit upset once I start to unfold and unravel your situation, and I'll ask if you watch this video because it's very important that you do the steps before you start to reach out to me and ask me for advice. I'm not a property manager. I do not plan on being a property manager. Interview and hire a property manager or a PM before finding a home to invest in. Your property manager is very important. Make sure you find someone that understands the asset and looking at putting money back into the asset, running all the numbers, spreadsheets, blah, blah, blah. Every single situation is very, very different. There is no one size that fits all. Investing takes a lot of time, patience, and the ability to act fast. I deal with many investors, and this process is very slow at the start. I like to build the foundation, get you set up with knowledge and some automatic emails and just some portal searches and stuff like that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks go by, then that one property comes up on the market. Now you have to act fast. So it's very important that you realize that before getting into this. This content is for educational purposes only. This is not meant to replace a consultation with any licensed professional. These are super vague costs that can very easily be manipulated. I try my very best to try and give the most honest numbers and give my honest responses, but you do need to keep in consideration that this is very, very, very vague. So this is our first property. It is a single family home with an legal basement suite. Now there are illegal basement suites in Calgary. I'm only going to touch on legal basement suites because there is a lot more benefits of having a legal basement suite than an illegal basement suite. We'll get into that another day. So if we start on the top left here, you can see that there was only 2 sales in the past 30 days. It's very competitive. That's 7 less than last month. So it's a hot market. Both of those sales acted very quickly. There wasn't anything available on the market when I currently made this video. The average home price for those properties that I found was about $580,000. It was similar to last month. The down payment is $117. The total mortgage is $468. The interest rate, which is interesting, is 5.24. This is an unconventional or uninsured mortgage. It actually decreased from last month, so it was down from 5.54 to 5.24. The payment factor actually fell by $9, which we'll talk about in a moment here, which is very exciting to see. We're trending down. The mortgage term on average about 5 years, amortization about 25 years. So that's at least the top right hand corner is going to be similar and the exact same on every single property type, and the stuff on the left is going to change. So going down one line here, we've got current rents. So we got 3-bed up is $22.87, 2-bed down is $16.26. Obviously, there's going to be many different property types. Maybe you got 2 up, 3 down, 4 up, 2 down, whatever the case might be. This is, again, vague costs. This is actually similar to last month. We actually increased rents $72 from last month. But the rents for this specific property type are trending flat with a little bit up. So with all of that being said, your rental income per month is about $39.13. I break it down into mortgage principal as well as interest rate. These are going to change drastically for every single person. So you can see the mortgage payment on this average summary is about $2,800 a month. Mortgage remaining, you got your property taxes. When I looked at properties, about $31.25 at the bottom there. Condo fees, no condo. Property management fees, obviously this is going to change depending on the person that's looking at making the investment. About 10% is fairly average. So if you're making $39.13, you're going to pay $391. Home insurance, again, do your own research. Make sure you find a good quote. I'm just going to guess about $160 a month. Home utilities, typically covered by the tenant. City utilities, typically covered by the tenant. That's on you if you want to go with an all-inclusive rent or if you just want the tenants to pay for that. So with this example here, you can see that the total income is about $46,956. The total expenses were only $43,361. Annual cash flow is about $3,500, almost $3,600. Monthly cash flow is about $299. So if we look at the last month, it's actually increased by $10, and that's mainly due to the rental increase that we saw from the month before. So really not a whole lot that's changed here. The cap rate is still only 6.36. 6.36%, which is not bad, but I like to try and achieve the 6.5% for my investors. So on the bottom right, bottom row, I have some notes. So the property value was the same. Rents are falling because obviously it's winter. Rates dropped. The rates dropped, which means the mortgage payment actually dropped by $80. So that's actually a little bit of a savings there. Cap rate still not at 6.5%, and there was very few sales, making this a very competitive market. So please remember, 2 sales in the last 30 days with a city of 1.4 million people and a lot of investors coming from Ontario. This is very competitive. I can't stress that enough. You can reach out to me and I can get you all set up on the searches that we need to be, but you need to be able to act fast, and we need to be able to dive into the numbers quickly and make an educated decision fast. These properties typically go pending within the first 72 hours. So it's really, really important that we act quickly to get that right property. And this is a perfect example of that. So we're going to move on to the semi-detached with legal basement suites. Again, there are legal or illegal basement suites in Calgary. Not going to recommend buying those because the legal basement suites typically have a better return and a better, leveraging for those assets. So again, 3 sales in the past 30 days. Very competitive market. Same as last month. The home price was about $570. It actually decreased from last month. There was a couple sales that I saw that I would personally purchase that were less than $575, which was last month. So the down payment, the mortgage payment, the interest rate, all that stuff is kind of the same. The rents are similar to the detached, but what I've done here is for semi-detached homes, depending on the property you find, 3 up is fairly common, and then 1 down is actually more common than 2 down, at least in my personal experience. So the income potential for that is $3,913, which is actually the same. But if you actually go back, that's interesting. I think I've made a mistake on this actually. The 1 bed down should be cheaper, so the income potential should be cheaper than the detached property. So point proven there. Take these with a massive grain of salt. I'm not going to re-record this video because I'm this far into it, but that's very, very important to know, right? I made a mistake there, and that's totally fine. So the mortgage principal, the payments, the interest rates, the property taxes are $29.15 from what I found. There's no condo fees. The property management fees are 10%. The home insurance is around the same. And again, get your own quotes. Home utilities, city utilities, all typically covered by the renter. So these are a little bit off. And the reason that they're a little bit off is because the 1 bedroom down is going to be cheaper than the 2 bed down in the single family. So with all that being said, you can see that the monthly cash flow is $388. Now, I would argue that if we look back here at the price points with the basements, so it's going to be actually $200, about $150 less for a 1 bedroom down over a 2 bedroom down. So that $388 is technically more or less, $250-ish, right? So honest mistake there. You can see last month was $233. So even at $250, we did see an increase from last month, but it's not $388. So that means that cap rate would probably drop down below 6.5%. So point proven. Take these with a grain of salt. This more or less is just to educate you on how I get these numbers, because every investor that I work with, we work on the same spreadsheet and make the differences for specific properties that are on the market. So slight decrease in price and rates dropping, causing mortgage payments to fall by $106 per month. Rents are slightly falling in this category. Continues to be the best return. So for all property types, this is usually the best, semi-detached with legal basement suite. And then very few sales, just like the last one, making it very competitive. So feel like an idiot, gonna move on. This is the townhouse market. So this is probably the worst out of all of them. You can see that there was only 6 sales in the past 30 days. Now let's remember that I'm only looking at Northwest and City Center. If I was to look at Southeast, Northeast, East, Southwest, like it would just get way too hectic. So what I'm doing here is just niching it down and just making sure that, again, you're looking at some of the averages and VAG costs of this. So 6 sales in the past 30 days. That was actually 11 less than last month. You can see that the home price is about $420. That increased from last month. All of the things that's across the top are fairly similar. 3-bed townhouse is $26.15. That's actually a decrease of $42 from last month. And then a $12 decrease before that. So when we go into the winter holiday season, obviously people aren't as active in the rental market, so rents typically fall a little bit to try and achieve the vacancies. Obviously, someone doesn't want to keep their property vacant. So rental incomes, 2615. You got your mortgage payment here at 2011. You've got your property taxes, your condo fees now, and the average that I've seen is 442 from the 6 sales of the last 30 days is kind of how I get the condos fees. The property management fee, the home insurance typically covered by the condo, the home utilities typically covered by the tenant, and then the city utilities typically covered by the tenant. Every situation is different. I can't stress that enough. So when we break it all down here, this one actually has a negative monthly cash flow of $265. Obviously, we're not going to buy it. But the month prior to that, it was actually negative 368. So we're kind of trending in the right direction. Now, I really want to make this very clear. On the notes here on the far right, there are many townhouse rentals out there that work. You just need to find the one that does. So just because the average that I have found here is a negative cash flow doesn't mean every single townhouse is negative cash flow. So it's really important that you get this type of system set up to make sure that you are best prepared to make a fast decision. This is also really great for people who already have rental properties, and they can add tabs on the bottom for every single year that they are renting that property. Put all of your numbers in here, put all of your renovations, all of your expenses, all of the additional things that have come out of your bank account to fix that property, and really track the numbers, because the more you track it, the more you can leverage it, and the more confident you're going to be in making a decision next time. So on the bottom, we can see notes: cash flow has increased, good sign. Price increase, price increase, rate decrease, and rent decreases still favor the seller because the cash flow actually went up. Very few sales in the Northwest, making it fairly competitive. So let's go to the apartment long-term rent for the apartment sector. Again, we're only looking at the city center. I probably should have brought some water. We're only looking at the city center quadrant. There is a lot happening in the city center, so it makes it very easy to try and follow along. If I did every single apartment in Calgary, it would just get way too hectic, and I spend actually multiple hours every single month working on this for you. So 33 sales in the past 30 days. That was actually 28 less sales than last month in the city center. The average is about 850 square foot, 2-bed, 1-bath. So the price actually increased, and I'm going to say it right now that condo prices are going to continue to increase all throughout 2024. The down payment, the mortgage, and the interest rates, all of that stuff. You can see that the current rates for a 2-bed was about $22.97. That was a decrease from last month. It was a $10 decrease, and then it was a $118 decrease the month before. So they've actually trended down quite a bit. So does that mean that there's a lot of supply in the city center market right now? Something you got to think about. So you got your rental income, you've got your mortgage payment, you've got your property taxes, your condo fees, which are quite high in the downtown, 604, again, average. You can see that the property management fees, the home insurance typically covered by the condo, home utilities, city utilities, yada, yada, yada. All that being said, monthly cash flow down $9.56 per month. You can see that last month it was actually negative $17. So the interest rates actually decreased, which are going to lower the mortgage payment, so that might help offset that $10 decrease a month for the rents every single month. So even though the property prices are going to increase in 2024, if the mortgage interest rates decrease, it should somewhat offset itself. You can see in this example here, the cap rate's only 5.74%, 71%, so it's not something that I would recommend, but at the same time, averages. Notes: condo prices will increase all the year, will rent increase make up for it. Rents are actually falling according to rentfaster.ca. It's basically because the winter season, and this is also rents citywide. So the rental price that I get is citywide. It's not just city center. So we do have to keep that in consideration, but there could be also a lot of inventory in the city center. So it is something to think about. Many apartments in other quadrants do work well. There's a lot of apartments like in the southern quadrant that work really well. So it's definitely making sure that you understand the full picture. So this is the Airbnb. So this is kind of controversial for a lot of people out there. You love to reach out to me and then give me some interesting feedback for this. This is only, again, averages, right? We need to look at this and just say, okay, this is what it could look like if you were to get into the Airbnb market. So there's 9 buildings that I watch downtown. I've been watching them for a very long time. Shout out to Your Key Rental Management Company. They're a very, very good short-term rental management company here in Calgary. Thank you very much for all the information. So I watched 9 buildings downtown. It's kind of cool for me to watch. The average price that I've seen is about $440,000 for a 2 and 2. You can see that increased from last month. Again, I'm looking only at 3 sales, so I'm trying to, those averages kind of change quite a bit. You can see that the down payment's $88,000. The furniture setup is an additional cost that you need to put into consideration. It's about 15 to 20 grand. So, you got to buy all your bed, your furniture, everything. Remember that Airbnb is very hard to blanket averages for. Like, there's not a lot of good information out there for Airbnb. So it's, again, I try to be as straightforward and honest as possible. I try not to, fluctuate these numbers too much to like advantage myself or whatever, but it's very important that you take this with a grain of salt. So the 2-bed downtown condo at $86 per night for 24 nights, so I think it's about 83% occupancy, was about $4,466. That was an increase from last month. So typically, Christmas holidays, you're probably going to see more people coming to Calgary utilizing Airbnbs, so it was a slight increase from last month. I also want to point out that interest rates are going to be very different on Airbnbs. This is an uninsured mortgage, which is basically for someone who's got 20% down that's buying like their first property or like another investment property. Airbnbs, completely different category. So these interest rates are not correct. So just throwing that out there. Rental income, $4,466. Your additional income, which is basically your, your cleaning fees. So how I've kind of come about this is that cleaning fees, you can probably make about $700 a month in cleaning fees, but obviously you have to pay for a cleaner. So what I did here is let's say you profit $20 per cleaning fee for 24 nights, right? It's just a blanket average. It's maybe an additional income of $480. Maybe you clean the unit yourself, maybe you don't. I don't know, totally up to you. Mortgage principal interest, again, not correct. You've got your mortgage payment about $2,544. This is exactly why I need you to look at your financials before you reach out to me, because what you see here is probably not even remotely close of what you would be looking at if you were to get into the Airbnb market. So the property taxes on average, I found around $1,900 for an apartment. The condo fees for these specific units, actually, I found quite low. Surprisingly, it was $525, mainly because they're newer buildings. So you're going to pay a little bit more for them, but your condo fees are going to be lower. So in the apartments, we had like $280, but the condo fees are like $605. Now you're paying $440, but your condo fees are $525. So you do have a couple different things here. So you've got property manager fees, about 20%. That's kind of what I found to be average in the industry. Make sure you do some research and hire a good property manager. Airbnb fee is 3%. Tourism levy fee in Alberta or Calgary is 4%. Content insurance, very important. Now you're going to pay for your Wi-Fi. Now you're going to pay for your utilities like electricity. A lot of stuff will be covered under the condo fee, but there's still going to be additionals that you need to pay for. So all of these things are on you, right? Like you need to put them on your credit card and make sure that you are paying them every single month. So if you only have like a 10% vacancy, you might be losing money every single month. So with all of this being said, on average, I see that there is a potential of making $254 a month. Now let's remember, interest rates are not right, so you're probably potentially losing money. So it's really, really, really important that you find a good property manager, or you have very good insight into the Airbnb market, and maybe you're going to do it all on your own. Maybe you're going to clean your own unit, maybe you're going to take the laborious tasks of doing things, saving that 20%, making a little bit of additional cash on the cleaning fees, and you can make a pretty good amount of money, but you are doing it all on your own. So with that being said, with these interest rates, not including the mortgage, the cap rate is about 7.63%, which is excellent. That is a really, really good cap rate to see. So on the notes here, property management fees can take up a lot of your cash flow. Dollar per night is kind of low, so the dollar per night is $186. That will go up in the summer months. You're banking on making all of your cash in the summer. Like when the Stampede's around, you can charge upwards like an exuberant amount of money for the Stampede, and reach out to me if you want to know. But regardless, you're going to make a lot of cash in the summer, and then the wintertime you're going to wean down. So in the wintertime you might actually lose a little bit of money some months, but the hope is that you can budget yourself enough to offset those losses, and at the end of the year you have a gain. Prices will continue to increase all throughout 2024 for the condo prices here in Calgary. And city regulations are something to definitely keep an eye on. There's a lot of rumblings for the federal level that wants to ban Airbnbs, municipal levels that want to limit Airbnbs. This is really where it comes to a crossroads where, are you going to hire a professional company to do this all for you, or are you just doing this on your own and maybe not putting the client experience at the forefront? So very, very, very important. If you have any questions and you want to get in touch with a couple rental management companies, reach out to me and let me know. I actually really want to buy an Airbnb, and I'm actually pushing for that on a personal level, because I have no problem sharing all of the numbers for my Airbnb, because I think it will shine a light on what's going on here. So if anyone's watching out there and they have no problem of sharing their numbers, but not their personal information, not their address, not anything personally, but they're willing to share with me every single month what they're doing, reach out, like let me know. I would love to partner with you and kind of showcase to that. I will keep the things very private, but just showing what numbers are changing every single month would definitely be amazing for a lot of people to learn and see and kind of get some guidance on. So I spoke really fast. What are we at? 26 minutes. Holy shit. So this is a very long video. That's way too long. So moving forward, I am cutting this down dramatically. If you've made it all the way to the end, I owe you a beer. So thank you very, very much for making it. I'm just gonna cut this off right now. I'm actually pissed that it's 27 minutes. So thank you so much for making it all the way through the video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.